Hey, good morning. It's Jack Kelly, and we have another one of my awesome, terrific podcasts, career interview advice podcasts. Let me make it a little lower so you can actually hear me, because that probably would be helpful. It's probably an important part of a podcast that you can actually hear what someone's talking about. so let me get started. It's a Monday morning, Martin Luther King Jr. day. So we're off from work. My search firm goes in accordance with the New York Stock Exchange holidays, and we have off today, so it is awesome. And like a lunatic, I am still working, and I'm working from home, and that's the phone, so that's kind of really awkward. Hold on, let me get the phone call.
Call from...
Hello? Hello? Hey, how are you? Very well, thanks. Uh-huh. Great. Excellent. Thanks. Okay, bye-bye. Now, how is that for an awesome, exciting way to start a podcast? Probably would have made more sense to not take the call, but just in case, I don't want to really embarrassing to see who is leaving the message, because that could be even more awkward. But as it turns out, it was the cleaning ladies. We use the service, the maids that come in. It's pretty awesome. It's like a SWAT team of cleaning people come in and whoosh, they take care of everything in like half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. So I guess this is what happens when on kind of a day when I'm not in the office and I'm home, and it's like a regular day, except it's not a regular day. So for this career advice, interview advice podcast, what I'd like to do is really speak about what's going on in the current market, what's happening now. With respect to, are there jobs out there, not jobs out there, are there interviews, and what you can do with respect to your career to kind of move everything forward and keep the forward momentum of your career, whether you're looking for a job or not. So what I mean by that is that even if you're not looking for a job, it's helpful because you get a sense of what's out there, so you know how much you could maybe negotiate for raises, promotions, etc., or maybe the market isn't so great, so you got to be act a little differently. So here's what's happening. Basically, a couple of trends that we'll go over really quickly. Trends of the seasonality of this time of year, and also kind of the big elephant in the room, the new administration, and how that's going to impact your job search and your career. So those are kind of the two big things that are going on now. Let's tackle the first one, which is the seasonality of things. Usually what happens is this. You get into the end of the year, towards the beginning of the year. End of the year, from Thanksgiving to the holidays to the New Year, it gets slow. Tortuously slow. It takes forever. Because what happens is this, where most normal people take vacations, you spend time with family, you enjoy yourself, you kind of mentally check out a little bit, maybe you go on vacation. As a recruiter and being compulsive, I'm still working, trying to get things done, try to make things happen. And the frustrating thing, what happens is this, that candidates will be out, either on vacation, taking some time off, spending time with family, shopping, so they may be around, not around, hard to get a hold of. Even if they are around, then the HR person is out, and he or she is taking vacation, away, doing something, not paying attention, not caring, just trying to enjoy the holiday season, take it easy for a little bit. If and when they get back, then the hiring managers, they disappear for the same thing. So from November, late November to the new year, and even after the new year, you're wrestling with that. Because, let's be frank, come on. Just because it's the new year, it doesn't mean the switch goes on and everybody kind of jumps into action. Give you an example. Come on. Let's be frank with each other. Let's be candid. How many people make a New Year's resolution? I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop binging Netflix. I'm going to put my phone down and stop with the Twitter, stop with the Instagram, stop with the Facebook posts, on and on, every day, every minute, all the time. Now, I shouldn't talk, because if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm like ridiculous. I don't stop. So I that's how I can relate. I understand what happens. Not as big as on Facebook and Twitter, but pretty ridiculous on LinkedIn. So what happened? It doesn't start right away. Or maybe a little bit, you go, you see those guys at the gym where it's like January 1st, and then all of a sudden the gym is packed. You go there and you can't get a piece of equipment to use, and it's crowded, and you say, who are these people? And then literally, it's hilarious. I did this. I go to the Y in my town. I live in Westfield, New Jersey, and walking distance pretty much, but I'm lazy, so I drive, which my son makes fun of me. He's like, hey, that's a great way. You're going to go to the gym, but you're going to drive there. Fantastic. You're really a great inspiration. So I'll go to the gym, and then on January 1st, see all these different faces, don't recognize them, what's going on. I kid you not, by the second and the third, boom, kind of empty. Can get whatever equipment I need, whatever weights I need, and I'm doing it, and it's kind of like an empty auditorium. So it does the same thing with recruiting and looking for a job. It doesn't just kick right into gear. You get that from everyone's side. From everyone's side, that oh my God, I can't believe it. Back to reality. This is horrible. I hate it. I'm miserable. I want to cry. I want to go home. I want to curl up in a fetal position. This is not what my life is supposed to be. So this takes about a week or so. It takes about a week or so for people to kind of start realizing, all right, this is what it is. I gotta move forward. I got work to do. I have to find a new job. I want to advance in my career. I got to acknowledge that this is it. And when that happens, the wheels kind of start again. So what ends up happening, hiring managers will come back on the scene. They'll start asking about candidates that they've been holding off on for a week or two or three or four. HR people start getting back, giving you more feedback about candidates which they haven't provided before. Candidates that were kind of out, the mix, are returning to the markets. Resumes start flowing in to recruiters, to firms, in response to different ads. Hiring managers start calling and asking about it. The communications start again. But it's not as if everyone just jumps into the deep end all at once. It's definitely a very gradual, slower thing. So like I'll see from the first week of January, it still felt vacation time. Second week, a little better. Now I think this is the third week into New Year. You feel substantially better than it was 2-3 weeks ago, but still that slow build. A good way, if you ever want to measure it, look at your LinkedIn account, and when you look in the upper right hand side where it shows about people getting jobs and raises, etc., not even like promotions internally, you don't see as much. You just calculate it. You figure I have X amount of connections, 500, 1,000, what have you. I have about 20,000. I'm bragging. So those are critical numbers. If you have probably about 22,000, right? You can really judge. That's a statistically significant amount, I think, of people to judge. Especially if you're people linking in with me, they're more apt to be career-oriented, to think of pursuing a new job, or always want to be kept in mind for a new job. And you don't see as many people moving. So it's that gradual thing. You can kind of gauge it that way. You could also gauge, if you like, by you looking at like a site like mine, like compliancejobs.com, where we have not only our jobs, but jobs from all sorts of companies worldwide listed, to see how many new ones are there. Same thing with Indeed, eFinancial, Monster, Career Builder, LinkedIn, all those other places. You can judge, how hot the market is or where it's going. So we're in that kind of build up, kind of slowly building up stage. Another thing which makes this time, it's almost counterintuitive, because as I mentioned before, usually most people think new year, get a new job, try to get a raise, try to get a promotion, try to lose weight, go to the gym, smoke less, all the kind of things we talked about. But when it comes to corporate life, it used to be where you would get the bonuses and raises paid out December. It seems from year to year moves later. It goes from December to January to February to almost March. So what ends up happening this time of year, it's kind of not really the official start of the year for a lot of people with respect to their job search and career search. They're waiting to get their numbers, to get to speak with their boss about any potential raises, increases, promotions. They're waiting to get their bonuses. And for a lot of people, bonuses are a big part of their compensation. It could be anywhere up to 20% or even higher for many people. It depends on what industry you're in. So that picture it, if you're a person who's made, let's just make up a number. You're making 100, 150,000 and you're expecting 15, 20% raise. So you have more than $20,000 on the line. Now think about that. Now, I don't know how much you're making, but if you're making substantially more, you might say, yeah, no big deal. But whatever percentage, whatever amount is going to be probably most important to you. So that if you're waiting for 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 60, $70,000, a lot of times people don't want to jeopardize it. They don't want to take that risk of, hey, I'm going to look for a job and I'm still waiting to get that. What if my boss finds out? What if my colleagues find out and kind of rat me out? Then what's going to happen? Are they going to still pay me that bonus? Are they not going to pay my bonus? Are they going to can me? So you start looking at the risk reward. Is it really worth me to take that risk and leave this time of year when I might be kind of foregoing 10, 50, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000? And oftentimes people say, yeah, I'll just hang tight. I'll just wait it out and see what happens. And as you can imagine, when that happens, it slows everything down because you still have less candidates in the marketplace, and then you have less people moving and less job openings. From the firm side, what occurs is that they're still figuring out their budgets. They factor in, they bake into the cake. They know people are going to move when they get their bonuses. I can't tell you how many calls I get from hiring managers say, hey, you know what, we have this person, John Doe in our group, and we have a feel they're looking and they're going to move, probably going to wait, they're waiting for bonus. So here's what we're going to be looking for. Nothing's going to happen. Let's wait. We don't want to let the person go, but we know they're going to leave. So the firms kind of factor in. You're going to have a certain percentage of people who are going to get their bonuses and leave. But until that happens, they're not actively looking, to replace those people. And they're just kind of waiting. So while the candidates wait, the firms are kind of waiting. They're waiting for their budgets. Now, this leads me to the second point of what's happening. We have, you may not realize this, but we have a new president. Yeah, this guy, Donald Trump, he's going to be the new president. And so that's a big change. That's a substantial change. Now, when I go into this segment, we all know this year has been so divisive. It's ridiculous. Whether you have, you're with your family, friends on Facebook, Twitter, in the office. My God, I've never seen it. No one's ever seen it. I'm just stating the obvious. Such just anger, such hatred from one side to the other. And just where I come in on this, I'm a business person. I'm a recruiter. I started my own recruiting executive search firm. I run it. I do recruiting myself. So I'm looking as a business person. I'm putting politics out of the equation. So if I bring up politics, just I'm not choosing sides. I'm not saying, hey, this person's good, this person's evil, this person's great, this person's terrible. No, because it doesn't matter to me at this point. At this point, it is what it is. And as a business person, what I try to do, and I speak with candidates about this all the time in hiring management. Things are what they are, and then you have to act accordingly. You have to understand this is the position we're in. These are the sets of facts, and how can we best move forward given these parameters we're in? Certain things we can't change, and if you can't change it, then we have to kind of understand it, and we have to figure out how we can be successful within this environment. So, and the reason I'm saying that, because I've noticed with people, if you start touching on politics, it's that third rail, and people start hearing that and they just close down. They shut off because they just think, hey, if you're not on my side, you're against me, and I don't want to listen because you're a big jerk. So it's what I want to give that preference. This is just all about how to succeed, how to do well, how to thrive, how to make money, how to move forward with your career, how to get satisfaction for your job. And part of it is dealing with things that are change. And with change is scary, change is worrisome, change is anxiety-ridden, but also change could be awesome. There could be a lot of great things that happen with change. There could be a lot of ways that you could do better with change. Now, give you an example, just where I say. For me, it's really interesting. In my personal life, I am not a big fan of big government. I'm a big believer in let people do whatever they want to do. I don't care. None of my business. Let people live their lives. As long as they're not hurting anybody, killing anybody, doesn't matter to me. It's your life. I guess that's more of a libertarian. And if I had to, pigeonhole myself, you put a gun to my head and you said you have to, choose something. I would probably go down that line where just let people be who they are, do what they want to do, less government, but as long as they're not hurting anybody, doing anything crazy. But so you know where I'm going. Now, interesting enough, my firm is the Compliance Search Group, and what we do is we specialize in placing compliance people on Wall Street and in corporations. And these people, basically the police, they're the ones who, and I'm kind of simplifying it because, a core audience of mine started out with the compliance, legal, risk, audit people, but it's really expanded to all sorts of other folks who are interested in the material and the content and the information I could provide about careers above and beyond, the area that I started with. So this area of compliance, these are the people who are trying to, make sure that, people aren't laundering money through banks, people aren't trading inside information, brokers aren't taking advantage of their clients, they're not churning accounts, they're not stealing money. So they're really the good guys. They're trying to do, really make sure that everything is honest and above board. Now, a lot of it is inspired, you would think it's just common sense, but a lot is inspired by regulations and response to scandals. So in a way, I say I'm better off with probably somebody who is more regulatory oriented, because it's going to mean more jobs and a higher profile for the people I represent and more of a need for it and more money for them is great. Which leads me to Trump. Just I'm kind of putting out all this thing. He has been very vocal about saying, hey, I'm going to repeal not only Obamacare, but Dodd-Frank. I think his quote is, for every new rule that he put in place, 3 are going to be thrown out. So you can see that he's definitely more anti-regulation, business friendly. It is what it is. Again, I'm not choosing sides. I'm just kind of looking at the way it is. So for, let's say, someone like myself, it probably could hurt and significantly impact, my business, because whereas for years there's been lots of regulation, lots of oversight, and the administration very, very pro-regulation. Now it's a big shift. It's a big shift to more of a business-friendly environment, less regulations. Now, when that happens, when you have such a shift in terms of the administration, it definitely impacts your career. And not for everybody, but it could, depending on what job you do and where you are and how you may benefit. So here's how I see it playing out. Let me give you some of the challenges first. If, let's say, for the folks that I represent that are in this, compliance, audit, risk, legal space, the downside could be this. The downside is that Trump is going to put an administration that doesn't really care too much, and saying to banks and Wall Street and corporations and pharmaceutical companies, hey, do whatever you got to do. Go for it. Your businesses, you got to make money. You got to make money however you are. Let's do this. Let's rock and roll. Let's make something happen. And when it comes to, regulations, we'll worry about it later. Let's just do deals. Let's make stuff happen, right? Let's make some money. Let's make it happen. And if you're in roles that aren't on that side of the fence, it could be a little challenging, because what he'll probably do, and you're seeing it now with his administration, put people in who really are, they're not that concerned. Give me an example, like Carl Icahn. He put him in as a special advisor for regulations. This guy is a multi-billionaire hedge fund manager, the inspiration for Gordon Gekko on Wall Street, which, for people my age, the Wall Street movie with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas, which in my office, anybody under 30 doesn't have any idea, so it makes me feel old. But I imagine most people kind of familiar with it. So you have somebody who is this multi-billionaire hedge fund guy, which is super successful. See interviews with him, seems like an amazing, awesome person, but he doesn't really care. When you look at some of the other people that putting in kind of similar things. So it could be a challenge for those folks. So what happens then too is this. So it's going to be, for some people, may not benefit. What ends up happening, and let's just take my area as a microcosm. Think about it. If you're a hiring manager and you're going through the same analysis that I'm doing now, are you going to go out and aggressively hire people? Are you going to go out and hire people who are making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year? Or are you going to wait and say, wait a minute, you know what? It doesn't seem to be a big priority. It doesn't seem as if the same focus on regulation that we've had for the last 8, 12 years, since 8 years at least since the financial crisis, it's probably not going to be there. So maybe let's wait. I mean, businesses, they're, as much as people make fun of them, and they're not stupid, and the executives who are there are pretty savvy. So they're going to think, hey, if I could save, let's just take a random person. Hey, there's this job opening that's paying $400,000 a year plus benefits and all the other things that come with it. It's pretty expensive. Do we really have to place that person? Do we have to hire that person? I don't know. Let's wait. Maybe we don't. Maybe things are going to change so much we don't have to hire that person. Or maybe instead of paying $400 or $500, we pay $100, or maybe $50,000, or maybe we could put that job. I would say in India, but that's probably, it looks like we're kind of getting everything back here in the U.S., which is a good thing, I suppose. So instead of maybe being in New York City, which is very expensive, you have to pay more here to people. Maybe we'll put the job in Florida, Salt Lake City, Tennessee, Dallas. And these are where a lot of firms are moving jobs, by the way. So I'm not just arbitrarily picking them out that are lower cost areas so they can pay less. So when you have somebody working here in New York and you're paying them $250, in Florida you might pay them, 50, 60, no exaggeration. Because not only do they pay less, but the theory is they get more junior people and let that person grow into it. So that's going to have an impact. So now what happens for candidates? So here's where I'm going with this. So now for a candidate, if you go through that, and most people are pretty logical if you step back and analyze facts, and they say, well, maybe I shouldn't leave for a new job. Because what's going to happen if I'm that new person in and all of a sudden they don't need me because there's not going to be all this spending on regulations and it's not a big concern to a lot of these places. So now I left my job where I feel relatively safe. I know everybody. They know me. They feel comfortable with me. They feel, that, I'm going to stay. I know they appreciate my work. But if I go to this new place, last one in, first one out, let me stay. So now we have the waiting for the raises, waiting for the bonuses, and now that kind of worry, do I leave or do I just stay? Because, the quote, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know, that's I hear that so often all the time now. Rather stay and wait and see how it plays out. Now with the firm side, they're going to think, do I really have to hire these people? Let me wait. Let's see. I know we have a job rec out, and I know we have it on, all the job boards, but let's just collect the resumes and see what's going to happen. Don't ask me what that voice was. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it entertaining. I'm trying my best here on a Monday morning. So what happens is that from the company side, they're not stupid, so they're waiting. They're waiting to see, hey, what's happening? Is it, does it make sense to hire these people? Maybe let's just wait. Let's wait and see. No rush. You know how it is. You see it in your office. Somebody leaves, and they wait. And guess what? They say, hey, can you help? Can you do that work? And what are you going to say? No? Because you say no, you're like, I don't know. I'm not going to get my raise or promotion or my bonus. So you take it on, and then time goes on, and before you know it, you're doing 2 jobs, and maybe they'll give you a slight raise for doing the 2 jobs. So we all know how this works. So this way they wait, they want to see what happens, they take their time, they go through the motions. So if people say, what's going on? Hey, come on, I'm working nights, I'm working weekends, why aren't you doing something? They'll say, but I am, look, we have jobs out there, we've given it to recruiters, and we're trying. But they're not really trying, we know that, it's a game. It's a game. They say they're trying, they're trying to appease you. So this way you don't say, what the hell? This is ridiculous. You're taking advantage of me. It's a game. So the candidates or potential candidates are kind of waiting to see what happens. And the firms are just, they're waiting and seeing and pushing off as long as they can and saving as much money. Now, you may say, what difference does it make? See, I get this a lot. What if it's one job, right? One person. It's only, hey, I'm only looking for X amount of an increase. I'm only looking for X. But you got to multiply this. These companies have 10,000, 20,000, 50, 60,000 people, 100,000 people. So when you start adding up, the salaries, the increases, the savings you get when you don't hire people, you let people go, it becomes pretty substantial. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And if you think about certain industries, let's say like the industry where I probably specialize the most within Wall Street, you don't have factories. Think about it. You don't have factories. You don't have machinery. You don't have food. You don't have all the things that other business inventory. You just have people. So how do you save money? Either A, you let go of people. B, you don't hire new people. C, you kind of cut the salaries and bonuses of people. That's all that's the best way to save money. So for them, what are they going to do? It's not going to move, close a plant. They're not going to close down a factory. They can't do that. So all they can do is kind of save money by chipping away, at the people. So now we have this kind of stalemate happening, and that's kind of, so it exacerbates the traditional seasonality of things. So you have this uncertainty about a new administration, and then in certain areas that may be adversely impacted, there's that kind of just waiting, what's happening, what's gonna, is this gonna move forward, not, is it gonna be any action, not action, let's just wait. Let's wait. So you get this, wait for the bonus, wait for the raises, wait to see if we get a promotion, wait to see what's going to happen to the new administration. And then also, we know that once Trump comes in, nothing's going to happen overnight. It's just like that New Year's resolution. You don't start and boom, everything changes. It's going to take a while. Now, speaking of changes, here's the positive side. Now, here's the positive side of the equation. Here's the optimistic side, which, I think we'd all hope that happens. We'd all hope that this what I'm going to say will come true, because I think it'll be great for the country and great for all of us. I think if it happens, number one, he's calling for tax cuts. If you have tax cuts, and again, put aside the politics, the rich will get tax cuts, blah, blah, blah. No, let's just say tax cuts. If everybody has tax cuts, the bottom line, what that means for companies, let's say for running my business, give you an example, for running my business, if right now my taxes, no exaggeration, I probably pay half of everything to the government. It's like they're my partner. It's crazy. That's so much money I give back. Now, if my taxes are cut, I'm going to have more money. I could hire more people. I can invest in getting other websites. I have other ideas for businesses I want to start and do. I have have job boards. I have my media business I want to grow. So I could take that money, invest that money, and by doing so, I'm going to hire IT people, technology people, web designers, hire more recruiters, get involved, hire writers. So, and this is on a very microcosm scope. This is a small business. But if you magnify that, so if you cut taxes on and also by cutting taxes on individuals, each one of us have more money to spend individually. That means we could do what we want. We could, instead of giving it to the government, hey, we could take a trip, we could buy a car, we could buy a house, we could make an investment in the stock market, we could make an investment in real estate, we could start a business. So all that savings. Well, it's called the animal spirits, is what they call it, where now you're emboldened to take risks, to take chances, to use that money, which will further the economy. So it becomes a snowball effect, but in a positive way, where you have all that extra money that goes to good stuff, that's building, that's growing, that's generating more money, that's more business, more jobs, more opportunities. Now, that's one. Another thing is the infrastructure. Now, a lot of people aren't talking about what infrastructure means. Is if you go back to, kind of the Great Depression times and things like that, what would happen is the government would embark upon these huge, massive projects, building highways, building hospitals, building roads, tunnels, trains, airports, or in our case now fixing the dilapidated trains, airports, highways, stadiums, hospitals, schools. Think about it. Come on, everywhere you go, from the New York to New Jersey, where I spend most of my time, you can't get in like a normal human being. The trains don't work, and I'm not come on, they don't work. The bridges are too crowded, the highways are too crowded, the hospitals are terrible, the schools are overcrowded, the buildings look terrible. There's so much to be done. So if you could take that infrastructure, if you could take the money and put it into infrastructure, building things, what'll happen is there's a couple of things. That more people go back to work, same kind of similar when we talk about tax savings. That if more people going back to work, that means more people have money, more people employed, more people could spend that money with, on restaurants, on movies, on purchasing computers, TVs, on and on and on, which then enhances the economy, because that money goes back into the marketplace, which is going to benefit other people, and so on. So what happens, it becomes, again, that snowball effect in a positive way, where everything gets better, there's more money floating around, more people working, and the mood gets better. There's more of a positive thing, because you feel there's hope, and this quality of living goes up. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, because even probably what will happen short term, it could be a pain when everyone sees when they're doing construction work is brutal and it takes forever to get somewhere. But long term, the quality of life can improve as we have better schools, better hospitals, better highways, better roads, bridges, tunnels. So that could be a great thing. Then we're talking about better trade agreements. So hopefully we could be beneficiary and our companies, individuals, we could do better with trade agreements and so on. So if you put on, and I don't want to bore you because this is not Echo 101, and I can see, I'm losing listeners right and left as I'm going through my, economics talk. But the theory is this, that if you are taking these steps to enhance the economy, stimulate the economy, that will create more jobs. And by creating more jobs, more opportunities, which everything get better. And so when I mentioned before, let's say in my niche, if maybe because of new regulation, or rather repealing regulations and not really putting emphasis on, they may be less hiring. On the flip side, on the other side of the equation, is that if the economy grows and is strong, it should require more people to work. And then, let's say in my area, more compliance people, more regulatory people, more attorneys, more legal people, more auditors will get jobs because it's a better economy. They're not getting it because there's a scandal. They're getting it because, hey, we're building a new division. We're growing a new area. We're starting a new entity, and then they're going to need these people to be there. So it could positively benefit that way. So I see it could you can see, well, now it could be that uncertainty. If things play out, it could be very good for people. There could be a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth, a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunities. So this is where we are, and it's tough because you can't say things with certainty. In past years, I could say with certainty, hey, it's January, things are starting to move again. Yes, you got the bonuses, you got the raises, things, you got to wait. But, it's just a matter of time. The jobs are coming in, things are moved, they need to fill things, everything is moving. It's just this cloud of let's wait, this cloud of anxiety that's being, built up by the media too, this worry, anxiety that's kind of lingering, slowing things down. I think you have to do this. And I'll tell you, this is what I do for myself as a recruiter and as a business person. I try to think long term. Sometimes, when there's been years where my business just ridiculously awesome, just great, placing people right and left, amazing. And I try never to let that get to my head. Then there are years like financial crisis. Probably the worst time is after 9/11, just brutal, where same thing, try to just not let it get to my head on the downside and just hunker through. I think this is this kind of weird vibe time where it could be fantastic. We all hope it does. Put aside your opinions on politics and who won, who lost. Hope that everything gets better, and if it does, it's great for all of us. But in the interim, it's going to be kind of clunky, kind of weird, kind of just waiting to see what's going to happen. So when it comes to your career, to your job, when it comes to raises, when it comes to promotions, when it comes to going for a new job, when it comes to interviewing, this is going to be an overriding factor. You may not hear back on an interview. You may not hear feedback on a resume. You may not hear feedback from your interview about how you did or didn't do. There may be weeks in between where nothing happens. It could be internally you're going to do more work and given more tasks and responsibilities because they're not hiring extra people, and you don't want to, and you can't fight too much because you don't see as many opportunities out there. So short term, it could be tough. So we're going through this weird time period where it's no one has the answer. All we can do is kind of just try to have a framework and hope for the best and plan for the best. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm mapping it out for you. So this way, whether you're kind of not, what's going on in my job? Why am I getting all this extra work? Why am I not getting the accolades? Why am I not getting the raises and promotions and bonuses? Well, because this is kind of what we're bumping up again. Now, I'm not. Obviously, this is big picture. I'm not talking about your particular company, but big picture. This is what happens, and this is themes, and themes happen in the marketplace. So you're running into that. If you're looking for a job or you're looking to hire, you're going to find that awkwardness. If you're looking to hire and you're like, where are all the candidates? Well, they're nervous, they're afraid, they're worried, and you can't blame them. Even though I'm trying to say to you to be brave and go out there, we're human, and these things come up. So if you're looking to hire, this is maybe one of the reasons you're not seeing those resumes. You're not seeing as many candidates. You're not seeing, the best candidates. The candidates you may see are the ones who are like, I don't care. I'm going to lose my job anyway. I'm going to look. Or my job stinks. I'm not really doing well. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to move. So maybe you're not going to see the best quality candidate. For the candidates, you're going to see that reticence. You're going to feel it. And no one's going to admit, hey, I'm scared to hire. So you're not going to come out and tell you that. They're going to come up with excuses. So you're left what's going on? And I'm telling you what's going on. This is kind of this time period. It's going to be slow, clunky, awkward, not a lot of feedback, not a lot of happening. There will be placements, there will be jobs, there will be activity, but it's going to be pushing on a string. It's going to be a little tough. It's going to be slow going, but I'm a big optimist, and I think things will improve and things will get better and things will move, and eventually, as a country, as a nation, as people who are working for a living, it will improve and get better, and things will move forward, and we get past this time period, and hopefully, and then we'll have other things to worry about. But right now, these are the things that we're talking about. I hope this helps. It's to me, I think it's so important to get information out, because people, what I've seen over the years, and I've been doing this a long time, is you're in your own silo. And you're doing your job, you're going home to your family, you have all your responsibilities, and sometimes you just don't understand what is going on. Why am I not advancing my career? Why am I not getting called for jobs? Why are the jobs not paying that great? And I think this is so helpful, in my opinion. Please call me. I'll give you my phone number and email, and let me know if I'm wrong, if you have any other suggestions. And I think it's really helpful, and I hope it's helpful, that it gives you some color, that you're not in it alone, so that you're not in a vacuum, that I provide a little resource to, I can see how you're putting the dots together and why this is happening and what's going on. So then I could act accordingly within my own job, my own firm, my own company, as what I can do to manage through this. So feel free, and I really would appreciate any calls, emails, to give me some suggestions, ideas, tell me how it's going there with you in your particular area. If there's anything you want to cover, if you think I'm just out of my mind, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I have thick skin, so that's cool. Just let me know, because I think the most important thing for me doing these podcasts is to try to share good, valuable information that's usable, that will help you with your career, help you move forward if you're staying with your job, help you move forward if you want to find a new job, help you if you're hiring somebody, help you if you're looking to recruit somebody. So this is Jack Kelly. My email is jkelly, JKELLY, at compliancesearch.com. My phone number is 212-997-3166. And, you can check me out on a bunch of places. Let's start. You could do it on, let's say, Compliance X, compliancejobs.com, The Wall Street Executive, Compliance Search. Okay, so have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.